Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Anila. How are you?
I am quite well, thank you. How are you, everybody?
Very good, thank you.
Very good.
Nice to
Okay.
see you.
Perfect. Shall we wait a little bit or shall we start?
You decide.
Oh, difficult. We can just chit chat a little bit if you want.
There's all kind of technical issues with the recording, so I appreciate it if you wait just a little bit to see if it's
Okay.
to see if it's resolved.
You know, otherwise we don't record and that's it. So what did you do last Wednesday when I wasn't present? Did you meet or did you just take the evening off? I guess
Actually,
you took the evening off because you're not answering me.
Well, I was here and a few other people came, but there was only 2 or 3 of us. So we did the meditation and then we decided.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, if you don't want to discuss your personal experiences about the whole thing, then that's perfectly okay. It's all up to you. Also on the 26th, I think, of May, there will also be, we can just make an evening off also, you know, you don't have to meet. So, because it's Akadawa. So we are going to do newness, which is this, you know, Chenresic fasting practice. So it will be in English. But it's, I have to put on the mic, the thing. It will be in English and people are, you know, it's also on Zoom. So if anybody wants to participate, you're very welcome to do so. But it's really like, you know, sadhana, lots of recitation, prostrations, visualizing Chenresic, the Buddha of compassion. So if you're not so much into these things, then maybe, you know, not much point. What about the homework I gave you? When I said, you remember what it was?
Yes, we were supposed to try and act like a Bodhisattva in the face of difficult situations.
Yeah, or at least to think, you know, this is just a movie and now I have this role. How do I want to play the role? Because, because otherwise, you know, Bodhisattva is quite high, you know, to play the role of a Bodhisattva, even if it's just a role. But still, I think what it could do when we take a step back, when we are in a difficult situation and we think, okay, if this is a movie and I'm the Bodhisattva, what would I say now? It's more saying than doing, isn't it? Or how would I say what I need to say? Did anybody try it out?
Well, I didn't try it all the time, of course, because I didn't.
Well, you know, excuse me, Noah, don't be so, you know, so demanding on yourself that you're doing this all the time.
But from time to time, I remembered your homework. Okay. And then when something happened, I just said, okay, wait a minute. And it wasn't that I said anything. Usually it just made me close my mouth.
Oh.
Okay. Now,
which is not such a bad thing, actually, you know.
No, yeah, it was good because wait, and I became suddenly more patient for the moment.
Yeah.
Less angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if we don't react with anger, which usually, you know, of course, we have a very strong instinct to react with anger. And when we are angry, we're always thinking that it's justified. But then the thing is that when we react with anger, it always kind of, it brings more, you know, like the other person gets hurt or defends if they tell their friends, all of a sudden it comes back to you, and all of a sudden you feel something like energy between the people is shifted, and like, you know, it's like in German we say rat's tail, like, you know, it always brings in more than just the moment. Not always. Yeah, I think it's also a little bit a cultural thing, because yesterday with the Swiss group, we discussed about anger, and we have one person who is from Latvia, but who is Russian. So, you know, she says, oh, this is so terrible because I get angry so quickly, and I can, you know, I can't apply any antidotes, and it's terrible. And she really beats herself up because of this. And so I said, well, I think it's also a little bit a cultural thing, because I know Russians, they explode very quickly, the same as Italians or Spanish people, whereas Swiss people, we learn quite early in our life that it's not proper, but a little bit like the Japanese, you know, it's not proper to express anger. So we learn to suppress it, but it doesn't mean that we don't have it. It's just that it's there. And then when we suppress it, then there's always something remaining. And I'm not saying that expressing it is better, okay? There's anyway something remaining. But sometimes when we just go, you know, like it's a bit of a cultural thing, and everybody is kind of just exploding, then a bit like Israel also, it's a bit like this, isn't it? Like there's a lot of explosions happening all the time. And so then it's, it's, you know, not every anger is, we really have to get to know our mind and to see the motivation behind it. And for that, we need to have awareness, and for that, we need to be calm, and for that, we need to know ourselves. And in order to see our motivations, kind of, isn't it? Okay, my telephone is ringing, but I'll just let it ring. Tom, shall we can just meditate for a while, and then and if it, you know, if the recording doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's no,
it's fine. There's something with the YouTube, but it is recorded, so
so it's okay. No, there's no problem. So as I said, you know, it's like one of the most important things is to have a mind or a mind state, or having trained the mind that can recognize itself, that sees what is going on. Whereas, like, you know, in general, we train our mind to be outside all the time. Now, I think with the Corona situation, where people had to stay at home, it had become a little bit more, you know, maybe a little bit more easy when there's not so many distractions. And quite a lot of people turn to spiritual practice. But then the thing is, if you start to look inside, and all of a sudden maybe you see things that you don't want to see, that you thought they were not there, then, and you don't have any ways of dealing with it, or any kind of, you know, how to apply antidotes, or, you know, not having methods of not identifying with it, then of course it becomes very difficult to just sit and to just look. I mean, it even is for us sometimes quite difficult to look inside and just to accept what's going on. This comes after years and years of practice, when you have understood that you are not your emotions, and when we really start to appreciate, I mean, just our effort to do something about this. Yeah, no, instead of just running around and distracting ourselves with pleasures or things like that. So we'll do some awareness meditation. Is that okay? Okay, so again, you know, first thing is always the body, because the body, when you are aware of the body, you're always in the present. So again, just this whole thing. What does it mean to be aware of the body? Just ask yourself this, you know, when I say be aware of the body. Where does your mind go now? You know? Try to observe that when I say, or when I ask you, just connect with your body. What does the mind do? Where does it go? I mean, what is the body? For example, you could take, where does it go in the body? To which part? And usually when the Buddha says, like in the Four Mindfulnesses, that one of the first objects is the body. So it's not so much a part of the body, but it's what the body is doing. The same way when we have awareness of consciousness, we look, what is the mind doing? Or what state is it in? So here now, very simple, to know in an unmistaken, direct way that the body is sitting. This is being mindful of the body. It's the first one. And to experience how that feels, to know unmistakenly, directly, without any judgment, just to know that the body is sitting. How does that feel? You know, please don't go good or bad, or wow, I like, or ooh, I don't like. Just the experience of knowing directly, unmistakenly, that the body is sitting. Letting go of any thoughts, past, future. Whenever the mind gets distracted again, bring it back to this awareness, to this knowing, directly, unmistakenly, that the body is sitting. And you will maybe notice that at the beginning it works quite well. The mind is happy with knowing that the body is sitting, but then it gets distracted because it wants a bit more, but then it cannot become calm. But we can give it an object that it can rest upon, and that can be the breath. Knowing that you're breathing in when you're breathing in, knowing that you're breathing out when you're breathing out. And again, you know, then the mind gets distracted, feels bored, but then you think, what if I wouldn't be able to breathe right now? What if I would need oxygen, but there is no oxygen? So there is this appreciation for our body that we are able to breathe freely, which usually we take for granted. Or in order to be a bit more focused on the breath, what you can also do, that you imagine that you had, you know, moments of having problems breathing, and all of a sudden, the air becomes clear again, and so you can breathe freely. Then we would experience and enjoy every in-breath and every out-breath. You see, the more we know the object, the more the mind is calm and stays on the object, the clearer the object becomes, and then the mind is not bored anymore. So really be fully with your breathing. Not too tight, but also not too loose. But enjoy it. Then it could well be that the mind becomes calm and stable. If not, also it doesn't matter. We just observe it. We accept it, whatever is there. And then we check our motivation. Why we are sitting, meditating, watching our mind, why we are studying these texts that are not so easy to practice. And then we try to make it a bit far-reaching, not just for happiness now. As Shantideva was saying in one of the verses not so far back, when he said, well, if you just want happiness for this life, you might as well just pass your time with gambling and drinking or smoking dope today or taking drugs which make you happy. Or just immerse yourself in pleasures if you can. So the happiness for this life, it's kind of a side effect of your practice. But sometimes also practicing it hurts because we go against our habits, our tendencies. And then maybe remember in another verse in this chapter, he said, well, if you have to go to a war, then of course there will be people that get injured and there will be pain. So we shouldn't make war with our negative emotions. We should start to recognize them, but it's painful. And the one that gets damaged is our ego, the one who lies at the root of our suffering. And the ego doesn't like it. So then I think when we think about motivation, it's always good to think about our potential and about our values. Like, what kind of person would I like to be? What kind of values would I like to be able to live spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and effortlessly, the same way as I live my jealousy at the moment effortlessly, maybe not continuously, but definitely effortlessly. My anger comes without any effort. My attachment comes without any effort. So we think about our potential, that we don't have to be under the control of these painful and unhelpful emotions. Then we have some kind of other energy. I want to be able to live these values. Also, we love to know the truth. So I want to be able how things really exist, what their nature is. I don't want to be stuck in my projections anymore. I want to benefit others instead of harming and hurting them or ignoring them. I'm doing this practice because I want to benefit them. Not for my glory and that they like me, or not for money or for fame, but just because I owe it to them. And we forget from time to time again how dependent we are on others. How many people have to do their jobs properly every day so that we can enjoy what we are enjoying. We can use what we are using. So the motivation for developing your own good heart could be like this: I can repay their kindness. But as long as I am stuck in my wrong views and unhelpful emotions, it's a bit unrealistic to think that I can liberate somebody else. So this is why, as quickly as possible, I have to understand samsara, not seek samsaric happiness anymore, but abandon the causes for suffering and starting to practice the causes for lasting happiness, well-being, wisdom, and compassion. So I can live my values, I can develop my potential, and spontaneously, uninterruptedly, and effortlessly, I can be of benefit to all others. How do I do that? By relying on the Buddha, who is like my mentor, my teacher, on the Dharma, who is the method, and on the Sangha, who are my companions on this path. And if we think like this, then some joy should come up to know that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything is there. Everything is there for us to practice it. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. So hello for those who have joined us. We've been chatting a little bit at the beginning about, you know, the homework that you act like an actor when you are in a difficult situation, and, you know, just kind of exchanging whether what it does or what it did or whatever. So it was Noah who was sharing. And if anybody else would like to share also, then you can. Yes, Israel?
Yes. I noticed that to be a bodhicitta, I mean, to act like one, is only because you're thinking about your well-being. I mean, this is the way I feel when you try to be different than you are on a day-by-day life, because you ask yourself, I'm doing it because of my benefit. I want to feel better. I want to see somewhere that all around us is better. I mean, I think about myself, and then you realize that you cannot help nobody else if you don't help yourself first. So this is kind of like the beginning of being or feeling like this is to know that you have to take care of yourself very well.
Definitely. This is why I included it in the motivation when I said, how can you help others? Only if you have, you know, only if you can liberate yourself. But you see, this is, maybe you haven't understood. So, or maybe I wasn't clear probably. When I said like an actor, you see, when an actor acts on his role, he doesn't care what you know, what the result is. He just acts his role. This is why I was saying you act like a bodhisattva, but you are an actor who is acting like a bodhisattva. You know, like in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, you have to get, first of all, to be an actor, you need a script, you know, you need a script to go by.
Oh, but you know, we can wait long time for somebody to make our script. We have made our script already.
Yes.
But but we still have some leeway. We still have some choice how we react to difficult situations when we are aware that this is just a play, when we don't take it so seriously. This is the thing. Yeah, and we don't, very often we don't give ourselves the choice because we don't have awareness. We don't have the capacity or the courage or whatever to, when we see, oh, you know, the awareness, something negative is arising, and then we kind of go, we make a short break and we go, oh, this is not so terribly serious. This is just a movie. This is just like an actor. Yeah. And this is, you know, again, you know, you're such serious people here. When I give you homework, this is to play around with it. This is not for you to succeed. Okay? Because also Noah said, yeah, I did, but not all the time. So, you know, me, again, I'm sometimes a bit, I don't have much respect. So I just burst out laughing because I said, well, nobody's expecting you. If you could just remember it once in these 2 weeks, this is fantastic. If you're just trying it out and watching what is happening, this is fantastic. And what you're saying, Israel, that at the moment, all our actions we still do with self-concern. Yeah, I mean, this is true, but still we can do, it's still better to kind of not harm others and try to be as helpful as we can. I mean, the first step is not to harm them. This is really the first step. And we overlook that step very, very often. And we run out and want to help everybody. Yeah. But the motivation is not to become a social worker or whatever. The motivation is really to understand reality, to understand that this I, ego, or me, or whatever that we're constantly trying to satisfy, that that one doesn't exist. And why? Not just for our own sake, but then in order to be of benefit to others. So it makes the whole work on ourselves, which we have to do, as you say, it kind of gives it more sense, It makes it wider. It's not just, you know, I, me. Yeah, so that from the beginning, they say, is like from the beginning, if you practice, it's really good to do everything with bodhicitta. And very often we forget what it means, bodhicitta. Yeah, bodhicitta has two aspects. Do you remember what they are? Yeah, Israel?
To be a benefit to the others.
Yeah, it's not enough. This is just compassion.
No, this is the result, maybe. I don't know. This is the result.
No, this is compassion. This is not bodhicitta. You see,
It's a
bodhicitta has two words, yeah, body.
Mind of enlightenment, the body and the chitta.
Exactly. Body is enlightenment or awakening. I prefer awakening. Mind, it means an attitude, a motivation. So the motivation is for you to be, as you say, yes, to be able to be of benefit to others. Then, as I also said in the meditation, we see that, how can I do this now? I can't even help myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then we see, oh, so the main reason is I receive so much kindness. I am totally dependent on others. Yeah. So there's some inequality in my life because I take so much and I give so little, you know, in terms of beings. Yeah. Like so many beings work for me so I can enjoy what I have. But I never give in my daily life so much to so many other beings also, like in terms of numbers. Yeah. Maybe not in terms of actions, but in terms of numbers. And then we go, but how can I be of benefit to them? Well, I can only be of benefit to them, real benefit to them, when I can, from my own experience, show them why they suffer and how to get out of suffering. Means I have to become fully awakened. But then in the meantime, while we go on this path with this kind of motivation, of course, we try to be of benefit as much as we can. Even if we're the selfish motivation, that's okay. But you see, the motivation of being free from suffering then is not selfish anymore, because it is, if I am not free from suffering, I cannot help others.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at the beginning, you know, this motivation is just, I think, blah, 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 blah. But as you repeat this, yeah, because this is why we have, like, you know, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We do take refuge because with bodhicitta, because before we start something. And the blah, 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 all of a sudden becomes, you have, at least I have, I don't know, but so I can only speak from my own experience. I have moments when I say this and I go like, wow, you know, this is possible. Then, of course, you know, these moments come when I'm alone and nobody is disturbing me. So nobody's getting on my nerves or whatever. So, but still, these moments are there. These moments of deep inspiration is there. And it gives the whole thing just, I think, so much more sense. Yeah. So it's true, as you say, first we have to look after ourselves. But in a way, you know, I mean, most of you have been practicing for so long now. I think this whole thing that, oh, I'm no good and I'm so bad and all this, I think this should be finished. And also, I think Israelis don't suffer so much from this. Americans do. This is one of in general, you know, I'm just talking in general. This is when I was teaching in America, I really discovered, you know, all of their questions were about, what about low self-esteem? I couldn't believe it. I thought, like, God, you know, this was like before the whole world started to judge America. This is in the 70s when they were still like the heroes of the world, right? And I thought, like, this is amazing. You know, this is like nation number one, saving the whole world. Everybody's looking up to them. And the individuals that live in their country, they suffer so much from low self-esteem. And it was people who came, you know, who studied Buddhism for quite a while. I was quite amazed. Yeah. Is that kind of more or less clear? This whole thing about the motivation.
Yeah.
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 But
Because
also, you know, I mean, there's two vehicles in Buddhism, right? So one of the vehicles is what is called, His Holiness calls it the Pali vehicle, where you just work for your self-liberation, then you go into nirvana. It's fine. The Buddha taught this vehicle for people who feel much more attracted to this one. And many more of the Buddha's disciples were practicing this goal, this personal nirvana. Yeah, so then the teachings there were like, it's not possible to become fully enlightened. It's only possible to free yourself from suffering. And then the Buddha was teaching like the second and the third wheel, which then goes into the Mahayana teachings when he was talking about the Buddha nature. The first teaching of the Four Noble Truths, they go into this Pali direction. You know, there is suffering, the causes of suffering, then it's possible to the cessation of suffering and the path. Yeah. So it's okay. Everybody can decide what they want to do. Yeah.
but you feel, I feel that it's easier for me. I'm talking about my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Be more aware during the day. I mean, our practice is not now when we talk to each other. Our practice is on the street. You know, when I go on the
Well,
street.
we could start fighting with each other if you want.
Yeah, no, but I'm not actually. I avoid, not now in my stage of my life. I avoid fighting. You know, I don't like fighting anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
So we won't fight. Okay. No, okay. So so it's easier. It's a feel. Depends, you know, depends how you wake up in the morning. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're fine, and you feel great, and you're aware of what happened to you, and you find that your day is easier. It's easier because you're aware, you know what's happened with you, and you're happy with yourself, and then you're not getting tired. You work, and you come home, and you're happy. And one day you wake up, you know, and it's different.
Yeah.
But then you can take it and see how it applies to other people. I mean, you are the same one. Day one is like this, day two is different. But then you realize in the end of the day, where was the right way? Where are you going? I mean, every day is different, and it's easier for us, for me,
Mm-hmm.
to relate to others in a bodhicitta way
Of course.
when I feel good with myself.
Yes.
It's easier.
Oh, this is the next verses, Israel, that come up.
Okay.
Okay. It's about feeling good with oneself and needing praise. So maybe it's a good starting point here where we can go into the verses. Yeah. Yeah, you know, when we started these classes, classes, such a high name. When we started these talks more than a year ago, we were going through the group and saying, what is the cause for anger? When is it that you get angry? You know, because we're still in the patience chapter, and many of them said, when I'm tired, and it's true. It's totally true. Yeah. So our first job, actually, when we go out of the house, is to notice my state of mind.
Mm.
And then with the practice, you know, I don't like to talk so much about antidotes, because when we talk about, you know, the Buddhists, they talk about, especially the Mahayanists, they talk about antidotes all the time. But I think before we start to apply antidotes, it's really good to get to know ourselves and to accept that sometimes we don't feel good, and sometimes we are selfish, and sometimes we are angry and grumpy and this and that, or insecure or frightened. And that it's in these moments that we learn to still appreciate ourselves because of our Buddha nature. Yeah. It's so important that we start to learn to appreciate all of what is happening with us. And that's very difficult because we have a tendency that we only want to see the good sides. Yeah, and then we start to suppress, or we start to fake, or this and that, you know. And so before you go out of the house, you know, we always check the outside of the body. Well, maybe not so much the men, but definitely the ladies, especially if you have hair. You know, if you don't have hair, then you don't need a mirror. This is really great, isn't it, Kitty? It's fantastic. So you don't have to worry about that one. But in general, one looks into the mirror. So you should also look into the inner mirror and say, well, you know, in what state of mind am I at the moment? And then try to amend that, and you know, to see that, okay, I'm grumpy. It's okay, you can actually leave it, I'm grumpy, but then you know that you're grumpy and you're not blaming somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, and when I know I'm grumpy, I definitely, if I can, I avoid people I dislike or have a problem with, if I can. You know, or at least then I say what Noah was saying. Then when they say something and I want to respond, I want to answer, then I go, oh, what would the Bodhisattva do? Oh, just shut up. You know, just be quiet and just shut up. And that's always the best. It's like not saying anything is sometimes, very often, much better than saying something with anger. So, so we can amend things like, my habit is, because I usually, when I wake, the first moment of waking up, I feel very uncomfortable. And I think it has to do with shifting the energies in the body, like from the subtle mind coming into more gross mind. I have anxiety. I'm very tight here, like, you know, body feelings. I'm confused. And I definitely don't want to wake up. I have this refusal of coming into the more grosser body and into the more grosser mind, and of coming into this samsaric life. I love sleep, you know, it's like, so I have this first moment of really feeling uncomfortable when I wake up. And I think babies have this as well. Because when you look at the baby who is sleeping, the first moment they wake up, they don't look very rested and comfortable, isn't it? Can you remember when your kids were babies? It seems as if there's something that when I wake up, I have a feeling like, you know, what I'm going into now is, it's too heavy, it's no fun, it's like, you know. And then I have trained myself to have the thought, may I be of benefit to all sentient beings. Done, the feeling goes. Not after one moment. But if you train like this, yeah, then all of a sudden, again, life has a purpose, and oh yeah, I wanted to be of benefit, and yeah, I need to be awake if I want to be a Buddha. I can't spend the whole time sleeping, and you know, these kind of things. And so it's good if you find your own, I don't like the word antidotes. It's good if you find your own skillful means to be able to make your mind more spacious and more open. One of the skillful means is, hey, this is just a movie, or, you know, hey, you know, this is impermanent. You have days when you feel okay. You also have days when you don't feel okay, but both of it is okay. Do you see what I mean? But definitely before you face difficult situations, or before even you go out of the house in the morning, check the state of your mind. And today I forgot to ask you, we got a little bit into the habit after the meditation at the beginning. I would ask you, how do you feel? And when I ask you, how do you feel? I am not asking you to say, I feel like this because da, 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 da. It's just, that's how I feel. And that's okay. No need to, you know, just to know how we feel. Maybe we just do this because I forgot to do it with you today. So maybe do just one more minute. You you know, not the outside mirror, but the inside mirror. And you try to find out how you feel, and then you just put it in the chat or you tell me. And whatever comes up is fine. Okay. Elisheva is ready, I see. So who wants to start? You want to put it in the chat or you want to say?
I can say that
Tired and agitated. Yeah, this is tired and
she
agitated.
stopped my line.
But wait, that was Tom. Yeah, Tom, you're tired and agitated. When you put a label on it, when you start to see, what does it do? Okay, never mind. Just check next time, you know? When you look and you put the label and then try to see what it does. Not for it to go away, but still to notice what it does.
There is a slight separation between me and how I feel, so I can look at it.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't seem so overpowering anymore, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the opposite though. Sometimes I used to have moments in my meditation, I don't have them anymore, and I'm really happy. I used to fall asleep in my, you know, when I do alone, quite a few years ago. In the morning, I would kind of feel very heavy and the mind would withdraw, and then I would kind of feel very good, you know, very comfortable. Everything would get dark. The mind stops thinking, it's quite stable and all this, and it would get heavy. And so it was just the experience. But then I thought like, wow, I'm tired. And then boom, the tiredness just like, it became like double almost or something like that. But then it went again. So this is also, yeah. So, but just putting the label to know how we are, because this is the practice, by the way. The practice is to know what the mind is doing and not what the neighbor's mind is doing. Yeah, so Sigal is saying that separation. Netta, what did you want to say?
I wanted to say tired, and I wanted to say that really when I say I label it, but with no judgment, it helps.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's revolutionary what you said, that the minute that we, like, when, for instance, when I go into the kitchen to cook, I'm very, very negative. And then I have anger towards myself being like that. And I'm saying, okay, yalla, Netta, till when?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, in those moments, the appreciation is the real important thing, but most hard to generate.
Yeah, yeah.
Very hard to generate.
Yeah, because then we need a kind of active appreciation. We really need to think, and appreciation comes not by thinking, but look, Netta, you have this and this and this and this and this. But hey, look, Netta, how would it be if you wouldn't have this and this and this and this? That we put ourselves in a situation where we would be lacking all these things. Then we start to appreciate. Yeah. But again, you know, not to force, just to, sometimes it really helps just to say, okay, I'm grumpy. That's it.
And appreciation for coping with these difficult moments also.
Yeah. For example, hey, look, I'm grumpy, but I'm still here and I still cook. So don't expect too much. Yeah. Anybody else? Elisheva?
The last in the Corona time, like almost 1 year and a half, I did it. I'm still doing a lot of meditation and listen to lessons, and I found out that I wanted to ask you, like I reach a level like I can easily go deep in the shamatha and find quietness inside. So I decided to take it as a refuge, like, yes, for me, this feeling. And so I'm trying to stay with this feeling. Like, it's like a good feeling. It's not very good, like, but a nice light happiness. I don't know how to say that. And then I'm trying to keep it. And when I found myself getting angry or someone, now I have a project here in my house, I told you about it.
Yeah.
So people are fighting, and,
Yeah.
and it's a lesson for me to, like, if I meet them, I listen to them, I smile. I try to keep this good feeling, and it helps me a lot, because I see, they said it's like a miracle. What did you do? How come it can happen for years? We decided to do many things, nothing. And what are you doing? And also the man who's going with this project gave me wanted to give me a lot of money. So I told him, oh, I will be happy to have this money because I don't have so much, but I want everyone to know. I can't do it under the table. It must be on the table. So I told him, no, thank you. He told me if everybody will know, it won't work. So I decided, I told him I don't want.
Nice.
I asked myself for what is the best feeling for you. So I don't know if it's good or maybe.
Well, maybe in the future, maybe in the future you will regret not having taken.
No, not this one of the money.
But the thing is what you're saying is very true and is very good, because when we get some level of concentration or awareness, I prefer to call it awareness, is like, then when you are in the awareness, watching what's going on in the mind, all of a sudden you really notice, not in the head, but here, this sensation of awareness is always the same. And when you say refuge, that is the refuge. Knowing that the awareness is always calm. What the awareness is watching is sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes agitated, sometimes very calm. But you will find you can always go back into this awareness if you are trained. It needs to come with training, otherwise, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's okay. We just keep going.
So yes, it's really what you said. I can go back to this feeling. So everyone can say a lot of things, except of Netanyahu, yes?
Yeah.
But I feel it's outside. It's outside. I can go back to this feeling, and nothing can go inside of those.
This is a little bit to see how our mind interprets what it sees and how our mind projects, isn't it? So that's good to see, not to go along with everything, not to be agitated by everything. Okay. Anybody else would like to tell us how they feel? Otherwise, we look at the verses.
I wrote in the chat. I'm not sure it's really a feeling.
No, I don't see anything. I see DFI, which I think is tired and agitated.
Maybe I wrote it. Yeah, it was a response maybe to DFI. Sorry, and not to everyone. It was a mistake. Anyway, I wrote feeling the body, pains here and there. So I was more, also before the short meditation, like I was feeling, especially my leg.
Okay.
I have pain.
Feeling it painful. And
yeah, so it's not really a feeling, but maybe more the feeling is being bothered with the pain and being not
Yeah.
really stressed, but it's a little bit annoying, disturbing, worrying,
Yeah.
maybe worrying.
Yeah, right.
Will the pain go away? How long will
Yeah.
it take it to go away? How is it serious? What does it mean? These kind of things. But
Yeah,
it's
so
specific worry, not just general worry.
yeah, I know. When pain in the body is always, we always worry that it will stay. So actually the pandemic, I think, is teaching us a good lesson because everything is so uncertain, you know, like we see that we have this tendency to think that everything will be okay. We have no idea if everything will be okay, but still we kind of try to go in that direction. But most of the people who do spiritual practices, you know, for more than a year now, we've been living in that uncertainty and we're still okay. Yeah. Because it's not just now that things are uncertain. It's just that like the illusion that we can have some control over things is gone. So, and what I think is really amazing to see, like everybody says, I want to go back to a normal life, totally forgetting that this normal life has brought us the pandemic, you know what I mean? Like, so we're kind of, but yeah, to have this tendency to see that everything will be okay, but also to see that we can live in uncertainty and we're still here and it can be quite okay. I mean, some people, I know some people really suffered, but most of those people who really suffer, they have no spiritual practice, they have no refuge. You know, most of the people that I know closely that are practicing, not most, all of them, they're all okay. Yeah, so. Okay, so let's do some verses because otherwise we're never going to finish this 6th chapter. So the last one we did was when their sand castles collapse, children howl in despair. Likewise, when my praise and reputation decline, my mind becomes like a little child, also kind of crying in despair. Yeah, so it's still about these 8 worldly concerns. And maybe what I found out, maybe praise is not the right word because the next few verses are all about praise. You know, people say, oh no, I don't like praise, I don't want praise. But what about if we change the word praise for appreciation, recognition, approval? This is something we all like. And the problem is when we get it, we get too happy. Now, I'm not saying you should get unhappy about it, but we kind of, you know, we put too much on it. And especially we put our self-esteem on this whole thing. Yeah. And then we get dependent on it. And that when we are dependent on something, or when we like to have all this, then of course, when we don't get it, then we don't like it, and then we get depressed or sad. So this kind of, it goes together. So Shantideva is kind of trying to tell us, give himself, which, you know, he talks to himself, to give us arguments why praise is, or appreciation, recognition, and all this. It doesn't give us as much as we think it does. Yeah. So these are now the next verses. So he says, like, since short-lived sounds are inanimate, they cannot possibly think of praising me. But as it makes the bestower of praise happy, my reputation is a source of pleasure for me. So what this means is that, you know, here is like, it's ego and the wise one talking. Yeah. So the wise one is saying, hey, look, but it's just words. You know, why are you making such a big fuss about these words? Because the words themselves, they don't have any motivation to praise you or to prove you, or, you know, I'm still using praise, to recognize you. And also the one who is praising us, we have no idea what their motivation is. We just, you know, the thing is also, if somebody praises us or approves of us, you know, we always think it's totally true, isn't it? Okay, not praise maybe, but approval, appreciation. Let's go a little one step so if somebody appreciates us, then we quite like it. And we would like people to appreciate us all the time, isn't it? Now, big question. How can we expect other people to appreciate us all the time if we can't even appreciate ourselves fully and wholly? So when somebody doesn't appreciate you, it's fine, because you also don't appreciate yourself all the time, especially when you're not in a good state. Yeah. So this whole thing also, you see, when we get so then, okay, let's go back to the verse maybe here.
Anila, I want to ask about...
Yeah, maybe I just finish it. So,
okay.
and then then you can ask your question. So then the clever ego now, the clever ego that pretends to be a bodhisattva says, but it makes the bestower of praise happy. This is why I'm happy to receive praise. Yeah, because he says, the ego bodhisattva says, but I am a bodhisattva and I want people to be happy. So when he is praising me, then he is happy. So therefore, it's good for me to receive praise because it makes the other one happy. This is very smart. It's very clever. Yeah. But then he continues, but we continue with the verse. We continue with the verse, but Netta can first ask her question. Netta?
You said praising, and you said the word recognition, and I'm really asking if it's the same, because recognition is maybe acknowledging something that you feel or want, and it feels different than praise.
So this is what he means. I think this is what he means to say. What we want is recognition, appreciation. Praise is, it's like, because so much of the praise we get is totally fake. But it seems to me like when I say somebody appreciates me, that this is more genuine. And it's more on the spot, it's not kind of, praise is something about, I've done maybe 10 years ago, something like this. But recognition and appreciation, I think that's what he means. And this is what we want, isn't it? This is when when we don't get it, we feel that something is lacking. This is why I changed the word.
But this, I'm confused, because this is the ego part, or because recognition is something that I feel that is most close to love, in a way, like to recognize it, to give recognition that you are sad, or you're not happy, or you're suffering. It's act of love, as I feel it many times. Yeah, someone tells me that, yeah, I understand.
But it's about, Netta, it's about wanting it from others. It's not giving it to others. It's wanting it from others. And when we don't get it, we cry like children when their sandcastles collapse. Mm. You see what Shantideva is explaining here is samsara, okay? When you as a grown-up, you watch children playing on the beach and building a sandcastle, okay? You know from the beginning the sandcastle is going to collapse. But you let the children play. It's okay, it's okay to be in samsara and to make effort, to have some comfort, and to get recognition and appreciation, and to get financial security, and to get a healthy body and all this. It's okay. But the Buddha knows it's not going to give us the happiness that we want.
Because it doesn't last.
The same way as if we are, like only, if we are only seeking for appreciation, recognition, health, financial security, gain, and all these kinds of things, we can actually get it. The children can build a sandcastle, but eventually it will collapse. And it will collapse, for example, at the time of death, doesn't it? That the whole thing, whatever we do for worldly things, that we're not taking that with us. We cannot take it with us. But if we do it, whatever we do it with the mind of bodhicitta. If it's more or less genuine, I do this because I want to be of benefit to others. This we can take with us to our next life. Yeah. So again, you know, what he's saying here is like, when we don't get this recognition, when we don't get this appreciation, what do we do then? We cry like the children cry when their sandcastle collapses. Although, you know, a wise person already knows from the beginning, you cannot force other people to appreciate you. You cannot, you know, I mean, if we don't get it, what do we do? That's why I'm saying, and this will be the homework, that you learn to appreciate yourself. I think it goes into what Israel was saying. As long as we're not okay with ourselves and we're hating ourselves or whatever, then we're not getting anywhere. Okay, so it was Giddy first who wanted to say something.
Yeah, but it's not a bad thing to get recognition or appreciation.
No, getting it is not the problem. But
Or even love.
Looking for it is the problem. Getting attached to it is the problem. Doing everything you do in order to get appreciation, that is the problem. Because then we start to manipulate, and we also start to be fake.
Yeah, and giving it is okay. Giving it is good.
Yeah, it's not about giving it. Here's about receiving it.
Yeah.
It's not about giving it. Yeah, don't mix the things up, because otherwise the verses don't make sense. Here is about, you know, as it said in the verse before, in 93, when their sandcastles collapse, children howl in despair. Likewise, when my praise and reputation decline, my mind becomes like a little child. And then he says, and then he tries to help so that we don't have to cry like a little child. Since short-lived sounds are inanimate, they cannot possibly think of praising me. And then the ego says, but I want praise, or I want appreciation, because it's true on top of it. I want appreciation because it makes the one who appreciates me happy. This is why I need appreciation. This I wanted, because it's good for the other. It's a very clever argument that your children also bring these arguments when they don't want to do what you want them to do. Isn't it? They come with very clever things, with very logic things. Have you ever noticed that? Okay, then we continue. 95. But whether this praise is directed at myself or someone else, how shall I be benefited by the joy of he who bestows it? Since that joy and happiness is his alone, I shall not obtain even a part of it. Yeah. So that's also like, if somebody else is happy, when you are not happy, this is really not helping you. It's really not helping you in any way. So the commentary of Pema Chodron goes like this. I'll just read it. The words themselves have no intention of praising us. The one who praises us is happy when the praise is honest and realistic. Otherwise, it can also be fake. I actually don't have any of it myself. It doesn't make me any better than I am. You know, even if somebody appreciates me for qualities maybe that I don't have, it can happen. So the good feeling is just attachment to the 8 worldly concerns. We can become dependent on it because we don't have enough introspection to generate good self-esteem. We don't believe in Buddha nature. Like what Shantideva is trying to do is that we're not running after these things and we're not getting depressed when we don't have them. Okay, and then the next verse is, this one is a little bit clearer. If I'm happy at the joy of those who take delight, then everyone should be a source of joy to me. Why, when glory goes elsewhere, am I not happy with this cause of happiness? So we can take, again, you know, this situation, we have person A and person B. Person A you like, person B you don't like, okay? Now, when you say appreciating somebody makes that person happy, that means you should be happy whenever the person appreciates whomever. So when person A is giving appreciation to person B that you dislike, are you still happy? This is the big question.
If you're a bodhicitta, then you are.
Yeah, but are you?
I'm not a
I'm
bodhicitta.
asking you guys. I'm
Bodhisattva.
not.
I don't know. If you're a bodhisattva, then you are.
You know,
I think
Shantideva.
there is something
Wait. Shantideva composed his text for himself. He knows himself. So it's a guide to be a bodhisattva. Okay, so he's not a bodhisattva. It's a guide to behave or to be like a bodhisattva. So he knows himself. So he's challenging himself and says, okay, your argument that you're saying, well, you know, when somebody appreciates or praises others, it makes them happy. It's fine. But then you should always be happy when they praise or appreciate somebody else, that it's not you and that you dislike. So see this whole thing about appreciation, you say, Netta says it's love and all this, but it does feed into the ego. You know, you say it's love, yeah, but it's attached love.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
It's the same like when you are in the class and you are a good student.
Okay.
If you are in the class and you are a good student, and the teacher praise somebody else, not you, but you know who you are. I mean, you are a good student. I don't think you will have any problem with that the teacher is praising somebody else, because you know yourself. This is exactly what you said before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Once you know yourself, nothing can hurt you because you know exactly who you are. I mean,
this is why I'm asking you to start to appreciate yourselves,
exactly.
not to be dependent on others. And then you can be happy when somebody else gets praised.
Yeah.
You
and
see?
also,
But what I'm asking, or what Shantideva is saying, you know, we go into theory here. If you can accept yourself, then you're happy when other people are praised. But at the moment, can we do it? Are we happy when somebody appreciates Netanyahu?
It's not easy, but you know, it's not easy, but you try. Like Netanyahu now, you know, you look at Netanyahu, sometimes I look at him, I don't want to be Netanyahu, believe me. I don't want to be Netanyahu now.
I wouldn't like to be him either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somehow, I'm sorry that I disturb you, but somehow you realize something very strong, that everything is like impermanent, you know?
Yes.
Somebody can tell you today that you're nice, but you see the same guy tomorrow, the woman, and they say you're terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what samsara is all about, you know, the sandcastle that it will collapse at one point. Yeah. This is what it is. So what Shantideva, or actually not just Shantideva, what Buddhism about these 8 worldly concerns is what is trying to teach us. We usually kind of are very interested in these things. This is why they're also called 8 worldly concerns. Now, if you are not interested in these things, then that's fine. Then we don't need to argue and we can just go over it. Like if you're happy whenever somebody is praised, we don't need these verses, right? But so last night, because we're almost at the same point with the Swiss group. So last night I said to the group, I said, well, is it just me that has problem with when somebody gets appreciated that doesn't appreciate me or that I dislike? Or do we have somebody, because everybody brought your arguments also kind of as if that, you know, yeah, everything is fine and all. And then slowly they, you know, another one said, no, me too. And then the other one, yeah, me too. So I said, either, you know, there's 2 possibilities here, that out of these, I don't know how many we were, out of these group, maybe there's only 3 who still have problems, and the other 8, or I don't know how many we were, you don't have problems anymore. Or the 3 of us who see that I have still a problem with these 8 worldly interests, we are more realized than the rest of you who are realized, and you don't even see that you're running after these things. So it's for you to check. You know, you don't have to prove anything to me or that you realize and that you can do it or whatever. You're the only one who can see where you stand by being aware and by observing when you hear somebody praising somebody else or appreciating somebody else, or when they don't appreciate you. You know, Netta, we had this whole thing about Kfar Monash, everybody brings a dish. And, oh yeah, this is a very classical example. Everybody brings a dish. And then you made, I don't know, a soup, which is really delicious. And somebody is eating that soup. And you're standing there and see how they eat it. And then the person says, wow, such and such made such a good soup. Can you shut up and not say, it was me who made the soup? Will you be happy about this compliment that goes to somebody else? Question to everybody. We're yearning for appreciation. Why? Because we don't, as Israel says, we don't know our qualities. We don't appreciate our qualities enough. We are stuck in the things that we can't do. And it's such a shame. It is such a shame. So let's do maybe the last verse that goes with it, because then it changes. Then it goes like, the people who harm me, the people who kind of destroy my good reputation are actually my friends. But this we won't do today. But kind of this thing here with appreciation and recognition and praise, it finishes more or less with verse 97. So he says, therefore, the happiness that arises from thinking I am being praised is invalid. It is only the behavior of a child, you know, because of all these arguments that he had. And so what Pema Chodron is saying, there is an important message in these 4 last verses. The many reasons we give to justify our need for recognition are basically just food for self-righteousness. Pretty hard, but you know Pema Chodron. You respect her, isn't it? You think she has a lot of wisdom. So she says that. It's her commentary, it's not mine. So, yeah, at some point we are slaves to our childish addiction for affirmation. Isn't being approximate is part of ensuring belonging to the group? Isn't being approximate? Yeah, well, yeah, of course, you know, I'm not saying you should behave in a way that nobody appreciates you, again, you know, but when you do things, then if you do things genuinely with a good heart, not because you want to belong to the group, just because you want to do them, you have a good chance that you will belong to the group and you will be appreciated in the group, you know. Again, otherwise it's like Israel was saying, otherwise it becomes manipulation and we do it for self-interest. So maybe I just finish reading this, yeah? If we just need this appreciation all the time, so at some point we are slaves to our childish addiction for affirmation. So Shantideva says, praise is short-lived and it's silly to take it so seriously. If we claim that satisfaction does not come from compliments for us, but because they bring joy to others that like us, then that argument is definitely flimsy. First, pleasure is non-transferable. Second, if our Bodhisattva motivation is to make others happy, then why aren't we delighted when the very same people say good things about the people we dislike? Okay, so this is what she has to say to all this. So, and then Tenzin Zopa is saying the principal practice of a Mahayana practitioner is to eliminate self-cherishing and to cherish others. That's it. The attitude of seeking acknowledgement and praise is a childish attitude. But we need it. I mean, definitely, because we are weak. We are weak in self-confidence, and this is why we yearn for it, isn't it? When it doesn't come, even though, as Israel is saying, even though we know we made a good soup, or we know that we did a good job, if nobody recognizes it, it doesn't even have to be criticism. If nobody tells us that you did a good job, something seems to be lacking. Is it like that or not? Hila is nodding. She's the only one that is agreeing.
I agree. I completely agree. I mean, it's like that.
So there's two of us in the club yet here, you know.
Anila, I didn't understand the question, the last one.
Which one? Do we agree? Yeah, that we are yearning for appreciation, that even if we know that we did a good job, even we know I made a good soup, he says it's a good soup, but he needs to know that I made the soup so that he can praise me and not the other person that he thinks made the soup.
Yeah.
Is that true? Yes or no?
If it's in a Kfar Munash and it's in a Buddhist practice, it's a good chance for practicing, I think, with the soup.
Mhm.
Maybe we should start putting names on the dishes and see what happens then. Because somebody might be praising you that the dish is delicious, knowing it's you, because they want you to like them.
So Anila, I was thinking to accept myself. It's to accept just not me. To accept myself. It's like
Yes,
two
exactly.
meanings.
To
It's
appreciate,
two meanings.
not just accepting, but to appreciate yourself. To recognize your
But-
good qualities, to recognize your Buddha nature, to recognize that you're making an effort with this practice here. To appreciate that. That's the homework.
But to accept, it has two meanings. I
Yeah.
accept. I'm trying to understand what does it mean to accept myself when I'm using the word accept.
Okay.
So
To accept yourself to accept yourself, I think means, but then we can disagree, but also the time is up almost. To accept yourself, very intriguing idea, yeah. To accept yourself, so we won't do it, don't worry. To accept yourself means you are happy when you do something good without comparing yourself with others. You just say, well done. When you suffer, when you're not well, you accept it and you generate compassion towards yourself instead of kind of rejecting the whole thing.
yeah, this I understand, but accept has another meaning. Accept me. It's just I'm taking myself out of the situation. Accept me.
I
But
don't
it's a different
understand.
word.
I don't know how to explain it in English.
Huh? What is that, Tom?
I think she means like
Another world.
it's another word. Accept as ACCEPT or
Yes.
accept EXC.
זה שתי מילים שונות.
They're two different words that sounds alike, but they have
Accept and
Yeah.
accept. To accept, to appreciate, to welcome you. You know, in the morning, you look in the mirror, you say, hello, Elisheva, welcome,
Yes.
for example. Try that, yeah. Do you think you can try to learn to appreciate your good qualities, you know, and not to depend on others for this during the week as a homework? Be kind to yourself. Yes, okay, great. Please train, yeah, to appreciate your effort that you're making, not to hurt the environment, not to hurt the people, not, you know, to have a good heart, not to get angry at these assholes that walk around, that destroy the environment and don't do their jobs properly when I pay them, like the one with the washing machine and all these kinds of things. So just, you know, not accepting, but accepting yourself and appreciating. Again, you know, as Israel is saying, this is what we Westerners are lacking in the practice. This is why these verses sometimes come across too harsh. And the ego goes like, but I need appreciation. Yes, I need it, I think, but not really. And it's fickle and it's impermanent. And sometimes it's not genuine when it comes from others. But we run after it. Yeah. And if we get a lot of it, by the way, and this is the next verse, but this we do next time. Okay. Shall we do some Tonglen to finish? Huh? Okay. So the homework is clear, yeah, it's easy. Forget about your negative sides for a moment and just appreciate your Buddha nature, your spaciousness that you have, that you can make space in that mind, the goodness, the innate goodness that you have. And this is how, usually when we do Tonglen, then we can start with this. Okay, so if you can sit with a straight back, and trying to let go of all that has been said, maybe letting go of restlessness. We don't need to hold it. Relax, also make one of your key words. It's okay, relax, it's samsara. Everything collapses, everything will crumble. That's what the Buddha is saying. There is no lasting happiness in samsara, no matter how much you look for it. We need to get out of samsara to realize emptiness. But try to let go of past and the future, compulsive thinking and planning, and to just appreciate yourself. See how much good that does when you start to appreciate yourself. I'm making an effort to develop a good heart. I fail sometimes, so what? But I'm making the effort, as His Holiness says, never give up. You can make the decision, I will never give up. I will always stand up again, even if I got terribly angry. Next time I try again, it's okay. Isn't that wonderful? I'm a good person. See if it gives you that spaciousness that we need in order to be kind to others. When we think I'm a good person. Not because of what you do, but because of your nature, which you can never lose. And try to touch that spaciousness. It's a nice exercise you can do. Imagine that you like a vase, where you put flowers, an empty vase. Within you, there's vast space. Like there's no flowers, there's no water. It's empty, spacious, open. Around you, there's vast space. You can even visualize, walls, houses, disappears. Trees, mountains, hills, just space. This is how the nature of our mind. And between the inner and outer space, there is a subtle boundary. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the inhalation dissolve within. Let the exhalation dissolve without. A total letting go. Total dissolution. Open up to our basic, fundamental spaciousness and clarity. Don't push, yeah? Just try, just be open. If it wants to come, it will come. If it doesn't want to come, no problem. So with the Tonglen, it's good to work with texture. So as you know, when we do Tonglen, you're all familiar with it. We breathe in the difficult stuff. When we breathe out the good stuff. So just in general, breathing in, you think you're breathing in heat, darkness, heaviness, or a sense of being anxious, claustrophobic, hot, sticky. But you breathe it into that spaciousness, don't forget, okay? So it just dissolves. It has nowhere where it can stick. When you breathe out feelings of coolness, brightness, light, joy, happiness, health, purity, a sense of freshness. Breathe in completely, don't be afraid, taking in negative energy through all the pores of your body. And again, don't forget, you breathe it into that empty, spacious space. When you breathe out, radiate positive energy completely through all the pores of your body. And we try to synchronize the visualization with the in and out breath. Breathing in, into the spaciousness, hot, sticky, heavy, dark. When you breathe out, bright, fresh, healing, supporting, cool, pure, joyful. So then we become more personal. So you could focus on yourself like a painful situation that is real to you, or somebody that you care about and wish to help. So normally we kind of take somebody that we wish to help, but however, if you are stuck with your own pain, you can do the practice for the pain you're feeling yourself, but simultaneously for all those who feel the same kind of suffering. Because again, we become aware of the shared humanity. We are not alone. We very often forget. So for instance, if you're feeling inadequate, breathe that in for yourself and all the others who are in the same boat. Think that heavy feeling, that tight feeling of being inadequate, of being a failure, of not succeeding. You breathe it in. It dissolves into the spaciousness. And as you breathe out adequacy and relief in any form you wish. If it's a friend that has some suffering, you breathe in that suffering again as dark, heavy, sticky, hot, and you breathe out healing, support, relief, bright, cool. And now to finish, we're going to expand our compassion. And if you can, but only if you can, think about the situation in India. You might have all seen pictures. You might have been in India. You know how hot it is at the moment. And you can imagine how it would feel. You can't breathe. You don't get oxygen. You're waiting somewhere in a car, in a parking lot, in front of a hospital, and nobody there to help you. Your family is panicking. You are panicking. There's suffering within, there's suffering without. No help inside. Or people who lose their loved ones and who have to cremate them under such appalling conditions. So if you can, but only if you can, and here it's really important that you feel spacious inside, not depressed, not frightened. But if you can, you think, not for you to get the suffering, but for them to get some relief. So as you breathe in, you think you're breathing in the panic, the fear, the not being able to breathe, the heat, the despair. And if you want now, you can give that spaciousness that you feel in yourself the taste of compassion, the good heart. And this compassion and this good heart is then like a filter so that all this heavy stuff, the difficulties, the fear, the panic, it gets filtered through that spacious compassion that you feel, where everything has place, everything can be accommodated. And as you breathe out relief, oxygen, vaccines, especially trust, calmness, confidence, and courage. Don't keep the darkness inside, let it dissolve. And as you breathe out, just feel, as if you were a fully realized being, the Bodhisattva, who can give whatever these people need. So you can extend Tonglen infinitely. As you do the practice, your compassion naturally expands over time. And so does your realization that things are not as solid as you thought, which is a glimpse of emptiness. This is why spaciousness is so important. As you do this practice gradually, at your own pace, you will be surprised to find yourself more and more able to be there for others, even in what used to seem like impossible situations. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering is which being under the control of wrong views, which then create unhelpful emotions, which make us act. May we all be able to understand the true nature of our mind, which is basic spaciousness, basic goodness, and basic wisdom, as quickly as possible, through the merit of this time that we spend together, through the merit of this practice. Okay, thank you very much. So again, when you see these pictures of India, instead of feeling depressed, because then we feel so helpless, if it's not too difficult, then you can do this. But first, create that space with your breath, yeah, inside. Otherwise, you get stuck with it. That's not the purpose. Okay?
Thank you so much, Lisa.
You're very welcome, Joyce.
Thank you.
Thank you. So have a good week. And don't forget the homework to
Thank you.
appreciate your potential, your good heart, your wisdom, your efforts, and that you're good people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.